Tulalip 1974, a year in review. The Tulalip tribal government took a big step forward in establishing its sovereignty and its independence from the federal government when it planned for and built its own administration building in 1974. Previously, the tribal government had used the small offices in the Tulalip Agency building, which was built in 1912 for the administration of the federal Tulalip Indian Agency, which existed from 1860 to 1951. The tribe broke ground in 1973. The building was designed by the Baumgardner Partnership, a Seattle architectural firm, and its $373,786 cost was financed through a combination of federal and tribal funding. The 14,000 square foot facility contained tribal offices, a gymnasium, kitchen, and meeting rooms. Francis Sheldon was the master of ceremonies at the dedication dinner held on July 5th. Congressman Lloyd Meads was the main speaker. Herman Williams Sr. said, "This is our greatest opportunity. We can now preserve our culture and heritage and be equal partners with our neighbors." Francie said, "We have a new superintendent, a new spirit, new facilities, and prospects for a new era." Since its inception, the building has been home to general council meetings, weddings, funerals, parties, fairs, dinners, and even basketball games. At the April 6th annual General Council meeting, there were 42 eligible voters present, enough for a quorum. Herman Williams Sr. and Stan Jones Sr. were re-elected to the board. Re-elected as chairman was George Williams Sr., Vice Chair Herman Williams, Secretary Ralph Jones, and Treasurer Clarence Hatch. Serving on the board were Don Hatch, Stan Jones, and Charles Sheldon. There were 121 tribal members who voted in the election. At this General Council, there was another important vote. Should the tribe's constitution be amended to lower the voting age from 21 to 18 years old? The lowered age would bring the tribal voting requirements in line with existing state and federal laws. The membership voted 83 to 34 in favor of allowing 18-year-olds to vote. Speaking of 18-year-olds, this year's Marysville High School graduating class included Howard Brown, Larry Brown, Lou Ann Carpenter, and George Williams Jr. In February, Judge George Bolt ruled in U.S. District Court that tribes had reserved the right to fish through the signing of the treaties. The plaintiff tribes were Lummi, Hoh, Makah, Muckleshoot, Nisqually, Puyallup, Quileute, Quinault, Sauk-Suiattle, Skokomish, Squaxin, Stillaguamish, Upper Skagit, and Yakima. Bolt's decision was controversial among non-native commercial and sport fishers, who saw it as a loss of access to an important resource and because tribes were entitled to half the fish harvested each year. In March, tribal board member Stan Jones Sr. wrote to the Seattle Times, "Indians caught these fish for hundreds of years prior to the coming of the white people for their livelihood and for trade among the tribes. Since 1955, we have planted millions of coho, chums, and rainbow trout in the streams and rivers. I hope the white man's natural animosity towards the Indian will be set aside. It is time we all unite to build up our fisheries resources." In October, it was a first for the Marysville Police Department and Bill Williams. Bill became the first native to be appointed to the police force as a patrolman. He had served as a reserve officer for 3.5 years. Chief of Police Ray Sizemore praised Bill's conduct as a member of the reserves and said he will make a good policeman. In July, the Snohomish County GOP scored a major coup in securing former New York Governor Nelson Rockefeller to attend a fundraiser salmon bake. The event was held at Tulalip. 400 people were in attendance, including Washington State Governor Dan Evans. The two governors paddled across Tulalip Bay in a 51-foot canoe carved in 1938 by Jackson Harvey of Darrington. With them were Stan Jones, Patrick and Philip Alexander, Marlon Freiberg, and Alpheus Jones. In 1974, the Denver Art Museum published a cookbook which included a recipe for Tulalip beach salmon. Directions called for using split red cedar sticks over an open fire, with the salmon basted with a dry vermouth. The recipe calls for seasoning the fish with salt and pepper, but it's noted that the Indians of Tulalip probably would not have done that. Kind of makes you wonder about the dry vermouth ingredient as well. And finally, there was this letter that was printed in the February 25th, 1974 Siatsab. It came from the cooks, Pauline Cominote, Della Hill, and Loretta Contrero. Thank you all for all the donations for the dinner, for this is our tradition. In the past, all the friends and neighbors would donate whatever they could, even if it was just a loaf of bread. We try to help, no matter if they are tribal members or not. For like this funeral, the family wanted a dinner, but didn't know how it could be done financially. We started from scratch, and we hope you enjoyed the dinner. We thank you from the ones that donated and helped out in the time of their need, and hope everyone here believes in the old way, in which we shouldn't forget. And that was Tulalip 1974, A Year in Review.